Coming up in this edition of TV Blackbox, all new judges for The Masked Singer, but are they the right choices? The ABC cuts more than just its birthday cake. A reality TV star has PTSD. Do we have sympathy, or did she know what she was getting into? And Perth says goodbye to an industry legend. Welcome to the podcast where people in the TV industry get their news. TV Blackbox, the podcast, starts now.
This is TV Blackbox, bringing you the inside goss from the TV industry.
We'll meet the panel in just a moment, but first, it was during this week in television history that Australian TV changed forever. The O10 network premiered their raunchy drama Number 96 in 1972. The show was promoted heavily with the line, "The night Australian television lost its virginity." Number 96 was known for its groundbreaking storylines, including homosexuality, interracial romance, abortion and rape. It was also the first time a trans actor played a trans character. That was none other than superstar Carlotta. The show ran for over 1,200 episodes. And just quickly, before we get into it, I actually bought the Number 96 cookbook that was released in 1975. There are some ingredients in there that we can't say in this time slot, but it is a cracker dinner party conversation. So look out for that. All right, welcome to the show. I'm your host, David Robinson, stepping in for Rob McKnight, who is off sick with that bloody COVID. Get well soon, old boy. We are missing you, but we must continue on chewing the Calabar fat for this edition of the show. Please welcome magazine writer Philip Kosh, the viewer's advocate Mulk, and actress Sarah Monahan. Welcome, everyone. We do have some sad news, however. Our wonderful colleague and friend Aaron Ryan has left TV Blackbox. He was a fantastic contributor and we'll certainly miss working with him, but there are big things on the horizon and we wish him all the very best, don't we, guys?
Yes, farewell,
See you, Aaron.
We miss you, Aaron.
He's a wonderful man, and that's right, big things on the horizon. We can't have an empty seat in this cast of bloody thousands, though. So joining us permanently on the panel is TV Blackbox contributor and Survivor fanatic Matthew Simmons. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing me on, and I'm happy to fill the shoes.
This is very exciting. Are you old enough to remember free-to-air television?
Yeah, it's in the bank somewhere. I think ratings might have just started when I was born.
Well, it's fantastic to have you on board. Welcome, everyone. Let's get straight into it. There's been a lot of moving and shaking happening over at Network 10. With the announcement of the mass judge exodus from The Masked Singer, 10 has revealed who will be taking their places. Chrissy Swan, Abby Chatfield and Mel B will be joining Dave Hughes to guess who's behind the mask. The show is set to return later this year. Sarah, what do you think of this lineup? Is it enough to bring back the ratings?
I love this lineup. I think Abby Chatfield is the new Grant Denyer or Sonia Kruger. Like, she is everywhere and she gives zero fucks. Like, she says what's on her mind, and I am here for this. And then, I mean, everyone loves Hughesy. Mel B.
Not everyone anymore.
Oh, hush. Mel B, I mean, she's been a contestant twice, and let's face it, anytime there's a hole anywhere in Australia, they call Mel B in because she's good talent. And everyone likes Chrissy Swan, so I think that this is pretty good. I mean, it would have been better if I was on there, but I'm very, very happy with this lineup, and I will probably watch it.
Mulky, is this good enough, do you think? Are these the right people for the job?
Oh, look, I think we'll have to see them in there pretending that we don't know who's behind the mask and how wild the guesses are scenario. I don't... Look, what I think would be a great turn-up would be to see one of the former judges turn up under a mask. Surprise. Look, Chrissy and Abby and Mel B will be completely reliable next to Hughesy. It's a pretty hard ship to run into an iceberg. I will disagree with my learned friend, ex-America, and that is that, look, Abby Chatfield is certainly everywhere. That doesn't make her great talent. Absolutely, she says her mind, and that's fine. I'm not sure. I'm not sold on the Abby, train yet.
COVID's everywhere. No one loves that.
Philip Kosh from the deep.
Well, staying with 10 for the moment, and the network has announced Darren McMullen as the host of the new reality show, The Real Love Boat. That's according to the Herald Sun. The show is set to bring love for desperate singles out on the high seas. Mulk, I want to go back to what you were saying about Abby. This is the way that I feel about Darren. He's in a lot of places, but I always struggle to find the charisma of Darren McMullen in any role that he does, but he keeps getting booked for these hosting and acting jobs. Your thoughts?
Well, it has popped up on Celebrity Apprentice this season, and I think in part either it was the thing that got him across the line for the gig, or he already knew he had the gig and he was trying to show his colours. He's a bit of a lad. He's a bit of a character, and I think that in that kind of a little bit naughty hosting role, he'll do fine. It'll be fine. The challenge is, you're right. I mean, he's had sort of some shows where he's done bits of things, and I mean, the only question is, how long is he in the role before Sonia Kruger replaces him?
That's true. Matthew, does he have enough personality to be a personality? He's certainly been around for a long time, but kind of forgettable.
I would say he has. I think it's a good choice. I believe that this show, The Real Love Boat, is designed to replace The Bachelorette. So anyone that isn't Osher is welcome news to me.
Oh, wow.
He's everywhere again, and we don't need him taking over another potential franchise.
Do you hope that Darren screams and yells the way that Osher does?
Oh, how he does with The Masked Singer, I hope.
Yeah.
But the thing that strikes me weird about Darren is that watching Celebrity Apprentice, he's got this kind of villainous persona, and I've never kind of seen him in this villainous role. So it'd be interesting to see what character he plays, because I've always thought, yeah, he's a bit of a lad, but not this villain guy or this person that's overwhelmingly nice or whatever. So I'm excited to see what could happen, but I do think he's a good choice overall and has a good personality.
Philip, does Darren sell?
Well, I think it's interesting he's running a dating show, because we used to show a little bit of interest in his love life when I was in magazines. And I can't tell you any of those stories. However, look, I do think he's got a charm. I think women love him. Like if you saw him in action in real life, he does have women falling over him. So whether that translates on the screen in this particular format, we'll have to wait and see. But I know he's quite cheeky, and I know there was friction on The Voice because he was, quite independently minded about certain things. So it might not be the easiest role for the producers, but hopefully they can produce him well and produce some gold.
Oh, I love it when you talk cryptically, Philip. It makes me very excited. All right, well, this year, the ABC celebrates 90 years of being on air, but it appears birthday cake is not the only thing they're slicing. The public broadcaster has announced almost 60 specialist workers in the renowned archives division are set to lose their jobs. It comes as the network attempts to cut costs while digitising their library. It will mean, however, that program producers and journalists will have to find vision and log new footage. Some of the archivists will be replaced with content navigators, but critics argue the experience lost will be irreplaceable. This is all despite Managing Director David Anderson describing the department as an asset of national importance and promising it will be protected. By the end of this year, 1.2 million documents, 637,000 images, 97,000 videotapes, and 54,000 audio assets will have been digitised. Mulk, is this, a sad state of affairs, or is it just a sign of the times?
The most interesting part of it for me, Robbo, was the distance between the leak or the acknowledgement that there were these 58 jobs getting cut and then David Anderson's response. Yeah. It wasn't 2 minutes. It was a little bit of time to have to work out whether he knew about it or not. I would assume that he did. It's a sad state of affairs, and part of what David Anderson said in his response was that we value highly the work of the archival team. They're still going to be a deeply embedded part of each news desk and accessible and available, doing the heavy lifting of the archiving. I guess the difference is that we're in a digital age now where a lot of the audio and the film and the images that are taken are natively digital, so it's actually not too hard for the people in question to do some of that archiving. It still does need the deft touch of the people from the archive desk to do the work, though, which is why Anderson reinforced there would be 70-something archiving stuffs remaining after the fact, and that it was still a big focus of the ABC because it has our recent history just deeply throughout the business.
So, Philip, we know that they're digitising all of the old stuff, all of the fragile stuff. That's really important. But what they're basically saying, though, is anything that's now shot from now on has to be logged by a journalist or a producer. This already happens at 7 and 10 and probably 9 as well. But in doing that, lots of stuff is lost. So when I worked at Channel 10, you would see camera tapes come in and you'd think we'd have the shot, but it either wasn't logged or it wasn't in there because it's up to really busy journalists, really busy producers, and that kind of falls away when you lose librarians. So is this good enough for the future?
Look, I can't speak to the experience at networks, but certainly in print media, whenever you move to digital and you get rid of people, you lose quality. Like, that's just a natural consequence, in my opinion. But that said, it's a digital world we live in. That sort of fad has been cut out of other media organisations long ago, and I'm not saying they're not worthwhile. I'm not saying they're not valuable, but if you're weighing up whether I cut a program or release a presenter or force a department into the modern age, then I don't think there's any question what you've got to do.
It is certainly an interesting one to watch as well. Well, let's move on. 10 boss Bev McGarvey says the project is as balanced as it can be. Speaking with TV Tonight, the executive dismissed commentary that the show leans too far to the left. One of those outspoken critics is our very own Rob McKnight, who argues it's too left for Australia's mostly centre-right leaning population, and that's why it doesn't rate.
I think you'll have to note, actually, Robbo, that McKnight's claim is that when you go woke, you go broke. That's his.
I
That's
refuse.
his claim.
I refuse to say it. I've actually got a contract. That I don't say that. But but you're right. He the great man does say that. Matthew, is this right? We have Sky News for our right-leaning friends. What's wrong with having the project for the left?
I don't think that there would be anything wrong with it. I will say, now I'm not someone who watches the project or even much of it at all.
No one does.
But there you go. And now that's going to be my next point. But first of all, from what I have seen, I don't know what particularly about it makes it so left-wing or so extreme compared to what you might see on Sky News. And I did the same thing watching the election coverage for the States. Watching Fox News, it was very clear that they were right-wing, but CNN, which they claim to be extreme left, wasn't quite the same. So I don't quite get the disconnect there. However, it doesn't matter what the perception is. The ratings tank. It sucks for Channel 10 having the project on. So does it really matter whether they're seen as left-wing or in Bev's eyes if they're balanced? The ratings suck. Something needs to change if you want to get the ratings up.
Yeah, the problem I think with the project is not its political leanings, but the fact that it's just boring and no one likes to watch it. Philip, are you a big fan of the project and the way that they deliver programming?
In an answer, no, I'm not. Look, I don't watch it enough to judge it, but I have tried to look at it a couple of times in the last few weeks. Yes, it's very left, but then the demographic would definitely swing left. So I don't think that's a problem. The problem is if you have a bunch of people all with the same opinion on a show, it tends to be boring. You could think Lisa being, falling into the baby boomer category would have a different view, but she's probably amongst the most left-wing on the panel.
I've just heard someone collapse in Mossman in Sydney by you calling her a baby boomer. Sorry, Lisa. Thoughts and prayers to you.
But I mean, they have Steve Price, right? Isn't he way the other way? Like they always have the token person that they can always argue with.
Well, that's Steve Price, and I don't think they have him on enough. And exactly right. He's a token. He's not even token right-wing. He's just a token baby boomer, essentially, with different views to the rest of the panel. They need to mix it up more. I'm not saying, manufactured fireworks, we all know that doesn't work on these sort of shows, but it doesn't hurt to have some opinionated people. And if you're just agreeing with everyone, as we well know, it's boring.
Yeah.
I think a show can't be everything for everyone. And apparently the project isn't for anyone.
Gosh.
But, I mean, I think that we do have shows that lean one way, we have shows that lean another way, but they could use, a person like a centrist in there and then a person, but it's just, I think it's hard and no one really gives a fuck at this point what they do. And they need to change up the panel. The only reason that I don't watch While I'm Here is because I don't like that Peter Van Whiny guy who's like a complete douchebag to women. So I won't watch it with him on there. But if they got some other normal people on there who had decent opinions to females, I might watch it.
I think that's on the professor's business card, actually.
Mark, there's no denying, and I know from experience that the project is a protected species at Network 10. Nothing can hurt it, nothing can come near it, nothing can harm it, and it's clear that nothing can change it. How long do you give this program that would be incredibly expensive? You look at the desk, just the people who are sitting there, the dollars are phenomenal. How long can we give this show, do you think? And how long do you think 10 can afford to do that?
10 can afford to do it until their budget gets sliced so thin that they actually can't. And that's going to be a real issue, because that could be 12 months' time, that could be 3-5 years' time. It really is an important part of 10's schedule. They hang a lot of their advertising on it. And to be frank, it's one of the few places that visiting artists can get a primetime interview, other than 7:30.
Yeah.
I love the concept of the show. I think it's a great concept. I love the idea of it. I love what it could be. I just don't think that whoever they have on there right now is executing it well.
It makes sense that Big Boss Bev would come out to defend it, right? Because they hold it so heavily. And hello to her and all of the other 10 executives who are now reading this in a memo. I want to give the project props, because it does try and live into its News Done Differently tagline. I think the challenge is that News Done Differently is not what the audience is after. And that is revealed in part for all of the reasons why most of us aren't watching it. And even then, within it, like, the Sunday project is a different beast to the Monday to Friday project. And gets vastly different results. For a Sunday night program, you'd expect it to be doing top dollar, top effort, and it often is doing lowest of the week. And that's a real problem for them. Look, Roving are making money hand over fist out of making this go for 10. 10 will only get rid of it when they have something to replace it, and it's been in that slot for long enough now that you'd have to say they don't have many options.
All right, we all know going on a reality show produces some of the most horrific and life-changing experiences on the planet, and now one of this year's Married at First Sight stars has weighed in. Dominica Calarco has revealed she suffers from and is being treated for PTSD following her stint on the reality show. In a newly launched podcast, Dominica said that in the months after filming, she would panic any time she sat down with a group of people after suffering through multiple fiery dinner parties on the show. With so much drama and feuding in one show, a revelation like this might come as no surprise to anyone. Matthew, there's much awareness nowadays about the dangers of going on a reality show, so do we have sympathy for them, or do they know what they're getting in for?
I think we've got probably maybe the most awareness that we've ever had, but still I don't think it's enough. I still think we're lacking a lot of areas. I think we definitely have awareness in terms of how the audience sees shows, and that we can treat it as it's reality TV, don't believe anything you see. I do think that's really hammering home for a lot of audience people and people that want to go on these shows. But in terms of what happens behind the scenes and actually living the experience, there's no way, I think, to quite realise how much of an experience it is without doing it. And PTSD, I feel like that's not an uncommon thing. Survivor people, they come home and they're for months they're thinking that someone's trying to blindside them, and it's their family, it's their friends, people that they trust. So that's a very common thing. I don't think her having it is any surprise. To me, it's just a reminder that we need to support the people that go on these shows. Like, they are celebrities, and people hate saying that they're celebrities, but they are being exposed to television, they are being exposed to a wide-ranging audience and doing some crazy and sometimes horrific things, that it just means that we need to help them out a bit more and make sure that they're okay during, before and after we film these shows.
Sarah, not in the too recent past, there wasn't a lot of support within the production for reality TV contestants. That's changed a little bit. There's been an understanding that there needs to be psychologists and support people as part of the production. Does more need to be done for once they've been spat out by the machine?
I think so. I mean, you think about how much media training kids get going into the industry. I mean, not nearly enough. And like people who become journalists and stuff, there's training for those people. But you get these civilians who just want to be on reality television and they don't understand. I think a lot of them still, like, even celebrity reality shows where they're filmed 24/7, people seem to think that at night they just go back to a hotel and they just come and act on Survivor during the day. And I don't think people realize just how 24/7 these shows are, which in itself is going to be exhausting. It's going to be terrifying. And then the constant media bombardment. And like 10 years ago, people would be like, well, just turn off your Twitter and don't read it. But we all know that's not practical. So I think that people just still don't get the concept of how hard being a celebrity is. And they just see red carpets and parties and hanging out with other people. And I think that they need to do better psychological testing of people before they go on these shows to see whether they can actually cope with it in the first place. Because if you're picking someone who isn't going to do well in this kind of environment and then you throw them on there, then it's just going to be a disaster. So I think, yes, more treatment afterwards, but also better casting beforehand and make sure that the people you're choosing can withstand it.
Yes, Sarah, that's why you'll never make it as a producer or casting agent, though, because they want them to be broken, because that often brings the best television in the context. I understand and agree that there needs to be some rigour applied in the process that gets them into it. I mean, we're in a weird situation now, particularly with reality television. Celebrity, I agree, has its grades. So, like, there's your Hemsworth level celebrity, and then there's your Married at First Sight, like, you know, bottom floor level celebrity. But we still treat them differently to, air quotes, normal humans. There's a weird agreement, a relationship that takes place between the audience and the participant of a reality television show that almost bypasses the show. And that is that, in part, we go, well, look at them, they know what they're getting into. And because we've had so many iterations of these kinds of programs now, the producers have to ramp up the conflict and ramp up the trauma and the drama, that it then means that we get to sit back and judge, and we can attack them personally. We can hit them on all of their social medias, and half the time they're only doing it to get a boost to their social media account so that they can claim, you know, influence level 700 or whatever. So it's this weird mix that plays on. I understand, particularly in Domenica's situation, her PTSD comes from the experiences on the show, not an interaction with the audience. This was just absolutely out of some of the tete-a-tete that took place. And I get it in part. And that's where, again, Sarah, I agree that there is an extra layer of mental health care that has to take place for participants once they're in line, once they're in the show.
Philip, do you think a contestant coming out and saying something that is, you know, really challenging with living with PTSD, do you think that affects the show badly, or do you think the audience kind of likes knowing that the show is so crazy that this could happen to you, so I want to watch it?
I don't think the audience would give a crap, quite frankly. I don't think they really care about these reality TV stars. The audience chews them up and spits them out as much as the networks do. And that's why they go to such desperate attempts to become famous, to exploit their fame and to monetize it.
But that's the only reason that they are famous too, Philip, is that you're right, the audience chew them up and spit them out as quickly as the networks. But if they don't, the networks, or even if they do, the networks are like, right, you're good for us because you're a polarising. Like, have a look at it. Domenica's just scored bloody...
I was about to say, then they get recast in a spin-off series or something.
Yeah.
Look, I have very little sympathy for celebrities and fame. Don't go into a role with the public. You know, it's part and parcel of it. That said, I'm not going to criticise anyone who's being treated for PTSD. That's a really serious mental illness, and quite frankly, I have no idea whether she's suffering it really or not. I'm assuming she is. Otherwise, why would she say it? I'm not surprised. I'm surprised more of them aren't treated for PTSD. But that said, these are naive people. They go into it, you know, boasting very few talents and wanting to live some sort of dream life as an influencer, or, you know, get on the gravy train for the rest of their lives. And good luck to the very few ones that can in a sustained way.
I mean, there's some that have made it, who have made it, you know, like Abby Chatfield was a reality star, and Angie Kent. You know, there are some that really do
But has Angie made it really?
She's done a lot better than others, let's be honest.
She's had more than a moment in the sun, I agree. Sorry, Sarah.
And who's the chick on Home and Away? The other blonde one that was...
Sam,
yes, Sam. Yes. So she went on to actually have an acting career. So there are some that do make it and have whatever. She's getting paid to be on a television show. That is, I mean, don't knock it. She is getting paid to be an actor. So,
but that's the lure, right? Those three, as great examples, are the tippity top pinnacle of a mountain of hundreds of reality television people who have gotten nowhere, or various levels of Instagram influence bullshit. It's moth to a flame, in part. They want to be a part of it. They will say, I'm going to risk it all because I want to get the biscuit. And the difficulty is, when it all falls apart for them, are we supposed to then have sympathy for them because it's a really tragic thing that's happened?
But how many of them wanted to be actors? And there are zero fucking acting jobs right now because everything on television is reality. So, I mean, if you want to be an actor right now, your best bet is to go be a reality person because at least you're on TV and you're making money, and hope that parlays into an acting job.
Or open an OnlyFans account.
Don't they all
or be a reality star and Masked Singer and Celebrity Apprentice as they do. Like, you're right, Sarah, it is just a reality TV market, and that's why they pop up, and people in the comments are saying, who are these celebrities? They're just reality TV people, because that's all we watch, that's all we have on television.
There are people who have more YouTube viewers and followers than there are actors. Like, there are people who legit have millions of people watch them every week on YouTube, and they are bigger celebrities than someone on Home and Away.
But we saw, as a great example, just off the back of that, I'm sorry we're labouring this now, Robbo, what were they? The Intuitive Unemployed, I don't even know what the name of the jerks are. The two guys that were on Celebrity Apprentice.
The Inspired Unemployed.
Thank you, the Inspired Unemployed. I'd never heard of them before this thing. I know, and I live on social media. What am I doing wrong? It wasn't their market. The people that watch Celebrity Apprentice are not the people that would watch them, and vice versa. And we saw that in the ratings. Their audience did not turn up.
Yep.
So, like the online thing has some pull, and we're seeing it more and more as people are getting picked. This person's got 1 million followers on YouTube, whatever, and we'll put them in a show. And everyone else goes, what?
I agree with that. And just quickly, I got my start essentially on reality TV, but that's a story for another day, and you can buy the book when that comes out. So
No, you don't get to step past this. Quick, we're on the Cliff Notes. How did it happen?
Really quickly, there was a thing called The Intern on Sunrise back in the day. Yes. It was like The Apprentice. Oh, yeah. I was on that. That's how I got started.
Bravo.
Did you win?
No, I did not. I got fired on the first day. But that's the rest of that's for another day, All right, let's move on. The star-studded night of television is just around the corner with the Logie Awards airing on the Nine Network this Sunday, June 19th. Up for gold are 7 notable TV favourites: Sonia Kruger, Melissa Leong, Hamish Blake, Carl Stevanovic, Tom Gleeson, Julia Morris and Ray Marr. Other stars up for major awards, including Carrie Bickmore and Lee Sales in the presenter category, Roger Corser, Bernard Curry and Hugo Weaving for most popular actor, Kitty Flanagan, Anna Torv and Ada Nicodemu in most popular actress. Some blockbuster shows are going for silver too, such as Home and Away and The Newsreader in the drama category. Gogglebox, Lego Masters and Hard Quiz are among those vying for entertainment, and shows like MasterChef, Celebrity Apprentice, The Block and Married at First Sight are in the running for most popular reality program. While a full list can be found on the TV Blackbox website, let's get some predictions from the team. Sarah, we'll start with you. Who's going to take out gold this year?
Well, we were just shitting on Home and Away, and yet Ray Marr is the only actor on that gold Logie list.
Very true.
So, but I don't know. I think they're all pretty good people this year. I mean, I always love Carl. I think he's great morning television.
He's won his Logie.
You can win more than once, okay? But no, I think that they are all valiant nominees this year. I don't think there's anyone that doesn't deserve to be on there like there is some years. But I'm more than anything just excited that it's coming back.
Yep, it is back. Matthew, who's going to take home the gold this year for you?
I will just start by saying I don't like that the network makes their nominations, because I prefer it when we vote for a first round and then our favourites in those categories. Times. Yeah, exactly. I prefer that because then we don't get crazy picks that are already has been. I don't think Ray Marr would actually make it if the audience voted again, because he's in every year. I don't think people want to vote for that again unless it was just what they're used to, which is also half valid. I will say that I'm hoping Sonia Kruger, purely because she does a lot for Channel 7, and it might all be nostalgia brands, but I don't think anyone else in that lineup has more than one show. She's the only one that does, and I think it's like 3 or 4. So I'm hoping it's her. I do think, however, it will be Hamish Blake.
Alrighty, Mulkey, gold.
Sonia Kruger will only win it after Darren McMullen's won it. Sorry, just to labour that joke. Look, Lisa McCune, she'll win.
Yeah.
She's won 17,000 times, hasn't she?
She should.
I've got a head and heart. I think that I agree, Matthew. I think my head says Hamish Blake's going to take it, but my heart really wants Tom Gleeson to take it again, just to stick it right up everyone. So much.
Indeed, Philip.
Well, I don't want Tom Gleeson to win it. That wasn't the best result from Magazine Land.
No, it was not.
Oh, look, what I am loving is the thought of the big stars doing dummy spits at the networks when they find out that their own network didn't nominate them. Yeah. And there are lots of names that spring to mind, and I'm not going to share any of them. My vote is Julia Morris. I think she's just an amazing talent. She's
great talent.
Yep.
A really nice person.
Yep.
She probably won't win it, but I will be barracking for Julia.
Yeah, I think that's a great. I think I'm going for Julia too, Philip. I think she's fantastic, and she is so lovely, and she just does a great job. So good luck to everyone. And TV Blackbox will bring you exclusive coverage from the Logies red carpet. Our roving reporter, Rob McKnight, will be interviewing some of TV's biggest stars, and those will be fast-tracked for you to watch on Sunday. More information will soon be available on the TV Blackbox website.
Ably assisted by Matthew Simmons.
Oh, Matthew, you're down there too. Weirdly, he didn't write you into the script. Welcome to Showbiz.
Fancy that. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, well done.
Rob's perfect. Isn't it supposed to be a super spreader event already?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And I haven't caught COVID yet, so if I don't
Mask
get it from
up,
Rob,
buddy.
I'm going to be getting it. So I'm probably
You're going to get
Wear one of
Showbiz
those
COVID.
big yellow nuclear outfits.
Yeah.
Hand sanitizer. Lots of hand sanitizer.
You need to wear that on just normal years at the Logies, let alone.
Very true.
Don't go to the bathrooms.
No.
Oh, God, I'll hold it.
Still to come on TV Blackbox, Neighbours redirects its mail to the history books. SBS and Screen Queensland get new bosses. And we say goodbye to a legend of Perth television. Plus, just what has everyone been watching this week? We'll find out when we head into the TV Bingebox.
It's time for Hatches and Dispatches with me, Sarah. Former teacher, actor and Supreme Court Judge Rosalind Atkinson has been named the new chair of Screen Queensland. She says it's an honour to be asked to fill the position. After countless weddings, deaths, explosions, scandals and earthquakes, Neighbours has wrapped production. After 37 years and thousands of episodes, the world's most famous cul-de-sac will soon fade into television history. The final episode will go to air on Monday, August 1st. A hatch over at SBS with the appointment of Catherine Fink in the role of Director of Television. Ms. Fink comes with a wealth of experience, including time overseas with Disney, Fox and Sky Italy. And finally, some very sad news for Perth television. The much-loved and popular newsreader Yvette Mooney has passed away. She started her career at 7 as a reporter before landing on the desk of 7 News and Today Tonight. Ms. Mooney had battled cancer for 16 years before passing away with her family by her side. She was 58.
Very sad news. Sarah, thank you very much. To the ratings now. In the week to date, 9 walked away with the network win by achieving a 27.4% share in the 5-city metro market, just slightly ahead of 7, who had 25.9%. In third was 10 with 22.8%, followed by the ABC with 15.9% and SBS with 8%. On primary channel shares, 9 won again with 19%, 7 had 17.9%, then 10 with 16.1%, ABC at 11.5% and 4.4% for SBS. Multi-channel wise, 7-2 again took out the top spot with 3.3%, but it was 10 Peach that matched 7 Mate for equal second on a 3.1% share apiece. Primetime ratings continue to see the blockbuster reality shows struggle in overnights. On Monday, after the news, A Current Affair and Have You Been Paying Attention did well above the 7:30pm offerings, but it was MasterChef who ranked first with 577,000 5-city metro viewers, followed by the ABC's 7:30 with 503,000. Celebrity Apprentice did its best all season, although still only at 423,000, and Big Brother could only draw 363,000 overnight. Loki, is there something just not firing with the reality TV options this quarter? Why aren't audiences making it must-see television?
Yeah, it's weird. I think we talked a bit about it last year that streaming, got a foothold because of COVID and us spending time inside. I think it's actually just continued, and we've found more and more because the networks. This is the challenge, right? As we come, let's say, out of COVID conditions, we're not really, but out of it from a production schedule point of view. There's just more and more content coming down the pipe to us. Now, we have to acknowledge this past weekend was a long weekend in, most of the reasonable states of Australia. So that made for a public holiday Monday, which meant that everything was down. So that was always going to be a part of that game. Anyone that goes away isn't necessarily tuning into your Big Brothers or your Celebrity Apprentices on Monday night. And in fact, last week, 7:30 in Australian Story trounced MasterChef at 7:30. So... there's that kind of challenge that's going on. Look, there's no question linear broadcast, commercial television particularly, has to have a good hard look at itself and say, what are we offering? We are about to hit the big reset, and the Commonwealth Games are only, 50 days away? The latest press release reminds us. Stop it with the press releases, 7. 50 days, it's too many. Too many days. But we'll see the block will come in. We'll see what's the new capital H one, Hunted, coming, that they just did the big super dilly promo on 10. That's going to land, and they're going to hope that there's some big interest in that. So there's lots of stuff to come down the pipe. The challenge will be if they don't do anything. What's the next step? Where do they land from here?
Sarah, you've been in the country for a while now. Have you been sampling any of these big budget reality TV shows?
I have. I'll talk about them in Bingebox. But yes, I've actually, I've been flicking through at night, but then also I'm just enjoying going out, and I've noticed everybody else is also enjoying going out. I mean, it's cold weather, but like when I walk out on the street, everyone is outside. So I think people are just done with television for a minute, and maybe it'll take them a couple months before they go back to watching TV. They might just be bored of it, or they're also just tired of reality and are just looking for actual television again.
Which is a dangerous place for commercial TV to find itself, because it has hung its hat very seriously on that primetime strip reality.
Matthew, of any of these shows that you've been watching in the past but you've kind of fallen out with?
To an extent. It's funny that this is probably the quarter that I'm most interested in, given that I'm watching 2 out of 3, which is Celebrity Apprentice and Big Brother. However, I'm certainly not watching it with, oh my god, I need to watch this, what's happening. And especially having the screening room is great, because I can just fast forward little bits that I don't care about. And I do that a lot because time is of the essence. But I'm just, like, I'm one of those people that just loves eliminations, so I'm ready to get to the elimination. If I just need to skip 5-10 minutes, and sometimes it can be some of those big chunks. So yes, in this particular quarter, I am watching them, but I'm certainly just I'm just waiting for a result, and I just want to be half shocked. I'm not holding out for a full episode. I don't really care anymore.
Yeah, not a lot of people do. Thank you very much there, Matthew. Now it's time to find out what everyone's been watching over the past week as we head into the TV binge box. Sarah, I'm excited because you've kind of given us a little tease of what you've been watching. What has been getting your attention?
Well, I lied earlier. I am actually watching The Project on TV right now. And then, because Aaron's not here, somebody had to step up and watch Love Island.
Yeah.
Which was just ridiculous. It's like, I'm sorry, do people own clothes, or is it required that you have to wear a thong?
It's televised gonorrhea.
It's just... It was just... I just couldn't... Anyway, I watched The Living Room, and then Have You Been Paying Attention, which I actually really enjoyed. Have You Been Paying Attention? I thought that was quite...
a great show.
But I mean, I love news. I'm a news junkie, and so to me, that's actually like totally my jam. And if I could watch that all the time, I would. And then
it's news done differently, isn't it?
It is. And then on the not television front, I watched Supernature with Ricky Gervais, because we talked about that, and I thought it was hilarious. And
Where was that, Sarah? That was on Netflix?
On Netflix. And
Cool.
so, because apparently my US Netflix account works here. And so that was excellent. I finished, finally, Ozark, because we only had 3 episodes to go before I left the US. So I finally finished that. And yes, I understand the meme now, where Ruth is giving the finger.
Spoilers.
No spoilers. I just understand why everyone was very upset at the ending. I watched Senior Year with Rebel Wilson. Shout out to Rebel. Love is love and fuck the SMH. But like, fuck those people. Like, how dare they do that shit to her, and power to her. And anyone who knows Rebel or has lived in Palm Beach will know that, like, this wasn't the first time that she's been to the Polo. She was there several years. Anyway, and then last night, and then
Does polo mean something? Is that a euphemism?
Yeah, what was that?
What does it mean to go to the polo? Is that a lesson?
It's the club.
LGBTQI alphabet people.
Oh.
They play polo on the horse, and there's an event in Palm Beach in Florida.
Right.
The one where I used to live, every year, and so Rebel always flies in for that. So they were like, "Oh, she turned up this year." It's like, no, motherfucker, she was there last year too. Anyway, and then Mike Myers has come out with something called the Pentaverate, which I found last night, and then in between watching Robert on the news all day today and avoiding any kind of media, I finished the Pentaverate. It is pure Mike Myers. He plays like 18 different characters. There's homages to all of his past characters, like Austin Powers and Shrek, and it is the dumbest, stupidest, funniest show that is just, if you just need to, like, not think for an hour, watch that. It's terribly good.
I'm excited about that. Thank you, Sarah. Philip, what have you been watching?
I've sort of been casting about. There's not a lot that I'm really desperate to see at the moment, but that said, I did watch Series 6 of Shetland, which is on BBC One, so on Foxtel and Binge here. It's just a terrific crime series set in the Shetland Islands. You get to see a lot of the Shetland Islands, which looks like a very bleak and cold but spectacular place. I wouldn't want to move there, but I'm tempted to go for a visit. So that's just a great British crime series based on a number of Anne Cleeve's books. I would highly recommend that. Then I checked out Wheel of Time on Stan, which I don't know if you guys have seen that. When it first came out last year, it was promoted, or people were trying to suggest it was a new Game of Thrones, which deterred me from watching it, to be honest, because I thought, well, it won't be. It's not.
No, it is not.
It really isn't. But that said, throw that out of your mind. I didn't mind it. I didn't love it. I'm still watching it. Rosamund Pike is fantastic. Original Bond girl, who was also in Jack Reacher. It's an interesting story. If you've read the fantasy novels by Robert Jordan that's based on it, probably gives more context to it. So that
it's got a. Sorry, right, I was just going to jump in, Philip, and say that it's got a very solid following as far as people who've read the books. They don't just read them once; they tend to be obsessive over them. And I went to see the first couple of eps on premiere as a preview with that Prime Video put on, and took a friend of mine who's one of those people, and he rated it highly and has watched the rest of the season, thought it's great. He's keen for more, but you've got to kind of commit to falling into the universe, don't you?
Look, I have read I don't think I've read that series, but I've read some of Jordan's books and loved them when I was a lot younger than what I am now.
Sure.
I don't think you need to have read the book to enjoy it.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah, I think look, so long as you don't compare it to Game of Thrones, it's worth a look and you'll probably enjoy it. And I've just started watching Becoming Elizabeth on Stan, which is a young Queen Elizabeth I. It's not grabbing me, but it's early days, so I'll report back on that one.
Philip, thank you. Mulkey, what's been on your remote?
It was an Origin week last week, which is in part 1/9, managed to pull a win out of the bag. So that was my Wednesday night. Loved. It's the only 3 games of football that I absolutely make appointments for, and that's to watch the State of Origin. And as a Queenslander living in New South Wales, there is no greater feeling than a Queensland victory during the State of Origin. I saw that finger, Philip Kosh. You put that away. So that was delightful. I am deep in Obi-Wan Kenobi with my family, well, particularly my wife and son, and we are loving it sick. Goodness gracious, I know we fawned over it last week. It is just getting better and better. I'll be so sad when these 6 episodes go. I'll have to watch it again.
Me too.
Last Week Tonight is still a staple. I'm still hanging in there with the Celebrity Apprentice. I honestly can't see it coming back. It's just not. It's not as good as it was last year. The casting is better, but the challenges are not as good. So I don't know. Make of that what you will. I finished off Girls 5 Ever and thought that was wonderful. That was just going to round out nicely on Stan. I'm loving The Orville Season 3 on SBS. Viceland on Friday nights. That's a bit of Seth MacFarlane's sci-fi fun. But the big thing that I spent time on in the past fortnight, I got to see the first 2 episodes of The 12, which starts on Fox Showcase Tuesday night next week. Their big new Aussie drama looking at a court case. It's a remake of a European series. I can't remember which one. Which country. The basic premise is that there's a murder case, a woman's being tried. However, we actually spend more time looking at the background of the jurors and who they are. It's not 12 Angry Men, not about their deliberations in the room. It's actually about who they are as people. And the way that they come to the courtroom as far as who they are, the baggage that they bring and all of that sort of stuff, it is stellar. An absolutely cracking cast. Sam Neill, Marta Dusseldorp, Kate Mulvaney, Brooke Satchwell, a list. A huge list, and it's bloody brilliant. That kicks off Tuesday, Fox Showcase on Foxtel, of course, The 12. You won't want to miss it. It's going to win all of the awards this year for sure. I also got to see a preview, and it's now out on Netflix, Spiderhead, the new Chris Hemsworth Netflix film. It was a film.
Great. Can't wait.
I also spent 8 hours watching The Terminal List with Chris Pratt, which comes to Amazon Prime Video at the end of the month. And it's a bloody good action series. Like, it's pew pew bang, shoot 'em up stuff. Really quite good.
Lovely, Mocky.
That's me.
Sorry. I was just lost in your words there, Mocky.
I know. I'm such a wordsmith. Pew pew shoot 'em up stuff.
That's what I was actually thinking about. Thank you, Mocky. Matthew, finally with you, what have you been watching?
You need to go as well, don't forget.
Thank you for thinking of me. I'll go last.
Cool. As I mentioned, Celebrity Apprentice and Big Brother for the commercial networks. Basically echo exactly what Monk said with Celebrity Apprentice. That's how I feel. Big Brother, even much the same. I like the cast. I love the veterans. I like them putting up against the fans, but it's just lost its magic. It's just not Big Brother anymore. And I don't know whether that's because of Seven's format or whether it's just, been 14 seasons and we're all just over it. Not too sure what's happening. I do think it will come back for another hit next year. But there's going to have to be some changes if they want to keep it beyond that, in my opinion. And then moving on to the streaming stuff, Survivor, can't not make a mention. Of course, I'm watching that. We usually have The Office in the background, but we've kind of been sitting down and watching it lately. I think we're in season 5 somewhere, and we just kind of keep going. So that's made a resurgence in our household.
The US or UK version?
US, definitely US. Just prefer the US over the UK, to be honest. Also, went back. There was a show. I think it was 2011. It started. Ran for 4 seasons, Revenge. It had Emily Van Camp, Madeline Stowe in it. I remember the premiere being amazing. I remember watching the whole thing, and I just went back and I saw something online saying, the premiere is one of the best pilots ever. And I thought, I'll go back and just watch it. And now I'm back in. I'm back in watching the whole thing.
Talk about diminishing returns for a series, though. That first season was amazing, and then it just got shittier and shittier and shittier.
And I'm midway in the second season. I'm just sticking with it. I'm like, I know some of the twists that I already know the outcome for, and I thought, well, I still want to see them happen again. So I'm slower in the second season, although I'm determined to make it to the end. And then it wasn't this week, but we've had a bit of discourse in the last couple of weeks podcasts about Stranger Things. I just want to make a mention that I'm on the camp that this is one of the best seasons, and if not one of the best shows that Netflix has. I do like horror movies, and I do find stuff scary, but it's like I like Scream. I see the appeal. I see the scare. This terrified me. Seriously, like it
Yeah, fair.
really was scary. And that 4th episode, everyone loves it. I still go back and watch some of those scenes, and I'm still terrified. I'm still getting chills. So really, if you like scary stuff and you think, oh, that's scary, I do enjoy it, this will actually scare you. I can't stress it enough. It's such a good show. Can't wait for Volume 2 in a couple of weeks.
Are you sleeping with the light on there, Matthew?
I have to now, absolutely, absolutely.
Do you know who Kate Bush is now?
Yeah.
I do, I know, and I'm singing that song all the time.
Me too. I've been continuing with Mad Men. I'm loving it. Had never watched that before. That is a fantastic show. Mulkey, I'm with you. Obi-Wan Kenobi, I love every minute of that show, and I keep having to remind myself, and I don't like the reaction that I give myself, that it's only 6 episodes. It is such a good show. I just love it. I think it's fantastic. So that's obviously on Disney Plus, and Mad Men I'm watching on Stan. Well, that's all we've got time for here on TV Blackbox, the podcast. Remember, you can keep up with what's going on in TV any time of the day. Just head to tvblackbox.com.au. A big thank you to our panel, Mulk, Sarah, Philip and Matthew. And of course, we all hope that, Rob, you get well very soon. I'm David Robinson. Thanks for your company. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Aaron.